Welcome to Fantasy Breakouts. I'm Pat. That's Eric. Today we're going to go through three things. One, in recent news, if you haven't read or heard, Carson Wentz finally got traded to the Colts. Two, we're going to relive a couple moments, the famous Butt Fumble. And then last but not least, the best catch ever. If you don't know, you should know. But anyways, so let's dive into it, Eric. First of all, let's talk about the Wentz trade.
Yeah, so just this past Thursday, the Eagles did finally trade Carson Wentz. I think him and Deshaun Watson are just bound to move, and he's the first one to fall. He went to the Colts for a 2021 or this year first round or third round pick, and then a conditional 2022 second round pick. It could turn into a first round pick if he plays 75% of the snaps or 70% and they make the playoffs. I mean, that's going to reflect how well they play this year, more than likely.
Yep.
I can see him coming in right away and being the starter. But, yeah, with the Eagles having the 6th overall pick, I think overall they're going to go quarterback. I think just by how their moves that they've made. I know I wouldn't, but they could be looking at Trey Lance, maybe Fields if he falls a little bit, but Lawrence and Wilson should be well gone by that point. So overall, I think there's too many holes to fill for the Eagles. I don't think they should pick a quarterback, but I just can see it happening. They have their wide receivers are getting very old. Their line was terrible last year on offensive line, and the secondary was a little bit better than the year before, but still they need some pieces. Pat, what do you think otherwise about the trade?
Finally, I think they're actually going. I personally, I would assume they're going to let Jalen Hurts see a full sample size, right? And if he does bad, they'll have another top pick. That's how I look at it. But if he does good, they have a franchise quarterback. But as far as that pick, they do have a lot of holes to address, man. A lot of receivers are getting very old. They just cut D-Jax, make some other random moves. And obviously, remember that one guy? What is his name? Remember he was really popular for like 7 weeks last year. All of a sudden, he didn't have anything. What was that guy's name? God, I can't even think of it. But honestly,
Fulgham.
Yeah.
Fulgham.
Yeah, Travis. Black guy named Travis. Obviously, the Colts, they ate that money. But at the same time, they had both their quarterbacks' contracts were up, right? So I can see they need to go out and get a journeyman or something like that, but they can get somebody for cheap. So it really wasn't that different for them. Rivers also retired, so that was at $25 million essentially. So they'll be all right. It's nothing different. I think it's a good move, honestly, for them. I think Wentz is not as bad as they may have seemed. Not as good as some people think, though. I'll tell you that right now. But for a quarterback, he's pretty reliable. We'll see. Their line's way better, so there's no excuses, really. None. And I think they're going to do a lot better job of really keeping the ball out their hands or his hands, because they have great running backs. So you got Jonathan Taylor. I mean,
yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think people really have piled on Wentz, maybe a little bit unfairly. He was sacked 50 times in 12 games last year. 50 times. Like,
that's it, man.
That's unheard of. He led the league, and he only played 12 games in getting sacked. And then Rivers, to compare that, he was only sacked 19 times in 16 games. So he shouldn't be getting hit like that. And, you got to get a quarterback. I mean, they're picking 24th, I think, 24th. So the odds of them getting a starting quarterback at that point, especially with this year, it's a little more top of the first round. I think there are going to be more contributors. They weren't going to get a starting quarterback in the draft, so I can see the move maybe working out pretty well for the Colts. Otherwise, so we'll see. I do hope that Hurts is the starter for the Eagles. He was amazing in those games before he got taken out mid-game, Week 17, but they don't have much cap room. So
exactly.
I completely doubt they're going to sign somebody, so we just got to worry about the draft. The salary cap, they did announce it's going to be around the ballpark of $180 million this year, so that's down like $18 million from last year. But this is one thing I wanted to show you, Pat. There's this There's this channel that's more of like a Vikings-driven channel, as you can kind of see, but it's pretty interesting. Like, these are the first-round picks from 2009 to 16, as it says right there. Zero first-round QBs drafted are still on the same team. It's wild. Like, people are, it's good to throw darts at quarterback because you don't know what you're going to get, but just the volume of all these guys. What do you think about this list? I mean, obviously the new additions to this list are the Stafford at the top, but Stafford and Wentz. But what do you think about this?
All I see is Ponder out yonder.
Standing out to you.
Other than that, I mean, I'm not surprised by a lot of this. Some of these people really shot themselves on the foot, if you ask me. And like the back of the half quarterbacks are not really. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater is solid, but other than that, I'm looking like, oh wow, just thinking. Look at EJ Manuel. Remember, he had so much hope. That was a dead year, right? Definitely quarterback.
I know it's been a while since 12, but like, can you imagine if you would have asked somebody 3 years ago if Andrew Luck, Griffin, and I guess Tannehill, I don't think he played his way out of town. I think that one.
That Dolphins didn't do him any favors either.
Right. That's exactly.
I mean, yes and no. I guess out of all of them, I'm surprised. Obviously, with Andrew Luck retiring, that's the only big surprise. But other than that, I would give it up to Matthew Stafford too. I don't think that people really recognize or realize how solid he is. Probably thought he had an arm, pretty boy from Georgia, yada yada, but he's solid, man. He does what he's supposed to, Josh Freeman.
So
they
like
were going to get a quarterback.
There's very few people that aren't even listed on here, like Russell Wilson, and it's like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, you're not going to get a Russ, and Russ, good luck. So, as basically at the end of the day, I think they're doing a good job of. They had some money, go ahead, use it, whatever it be done. They got Frank Wright, who has a history with Wentz. Bring it back, not a bad move. Wentz needed a new start. They said to him and Doug Peterson didn't talk for like 12 weeks or something like that. How crazy is that? How do you? So number 11, when you are, how do you address them in the meeting room? I know y'all had, talks.
They had some like equipment manager just passing notes back and forth.
Relay.
Tell Doug.
Tell Doug he can shove it. He definitely looks like a dude that'd say that. He's like, I'm not saying that. I'm like, hey, you tell him. Tell him I know the owner. Okay? Me the owner? We're like this. Don't think about it. He was
just confident with that contract, that big contract he got. I think he was just confident with that. But overall, I think fantasy-wise, I think it helps Jonathan Taylor, right? Phillip Rivers couldn't really throw it over 25 yards, I would say, maybe 30. I think he was a little bit above Drew Brees in that category, but so it might help out the deep guys. So maybe a little bit help out T.Y. if he can get any juice in his legs still.
Yeah, man, he only got a little big head, forehead. He got about 2 years left, probably. I'd say of all right, maybe and be expecting that. Maybe he takes the first half. Yeah, maybe he takes the first half off again this year. I think we'll see a bigger dose of the other guy though from USC.
Pittman.
Michael Pittman. Yep. And another thing about that trade, man, with that salary cap also being lower, you want to use that quarterback while he's cheap.
Right.
So see if they can get a different player or whatnot. Who knows, man? They've done some stuff that's just who knows. So, anyways,
you get that confidence when you win a Super Bowl like the Eagles did. You got your job a little bit more in your hand, but yeah, let's move on. Pat, let's go on to a historical event, quite like no other, right?
It's what we all looked up to. If I want to be quarterback to do this. So do you have we don't watch the clip, or you got a before and after? Set up the scene. Where are we at? What year is it? So it is 2012. It's a tad bit chilly outside. Probably a little snow out there. November 22nd to be exact. And it's an infamous rivalry between. Oh no, not this one. Yeah, you're on the wrong video. But the infamous, rivalry between the Patriots and the New York Jets. Jets. And we have the best quarterback in the world. Who's the running back? Bilal Powell?
It looks like him.
Yeah, that's how he's. Yep.
Oh man, I want to know that now.
And it's like, man, it's 14-0. What are they gonna do? They're gonna do a little dig route, right? So, it's 1st and 10. Gotta get something going here. What are you gonna do? Who are you gonna turn to? Let's go, Mr. Sanchez. What you got for me?
They were. Why don't you say it? Like, okay, this is Thanksgiving, yeah, and then the Jets are 4-6. Mark Sanchez had 30 touchdowns the year before this. He had a good season the year before this.
He had a year. No, yeah, he had a.
Not this year.
Remember, he looked like a. Definitely not this year. But yeah, so let's roll the clip. Yep, roll the clip, man.
We talked to Tom Moore then at Indianapolis, the offensive coordinator. You got a bust play here. Sanchez gets hit. The ball is loose and it's alive.
I have never seen this before in my life. Watch this. Vince Wilfork is going to throw Brandon Moore back into his quarterback. He's going to fumble the football.
Abolished that, man. I got this.
This is what Reggie White used to do to people. Forklift them and just lift them off the ground.
Oh, my God.
Mark Sanchez not expecting.
Pat, do you remember what you were doing when you saw that?
Crying.
I'll play it again at the end of the video in case you want to see it like 7 times in a row. Like I know everyone does. But yeah, I remember seeing this. I was just like dumbfounded. Like, when you think that your team that you love does bad things, and then you just kick it to a whole nother level. Like this guy, it just blew the doors off. Yeah, it's like I can't imagine what I would be feeling if I was a Jets fan, because they just got killed by the Patriots. I think earlier in the year too. After I think they won the division in 11. Was it 11 or 10? 10 when they had back when they had LT. So
solid.
It's just,
and it was at the end of his career.
But yeah, I think this is the worst play of all time. Just to be blunt about it. And then I think it really tainted everybody's look at Mark Sanchez. Like, I think Mark Sanchez is now maybe a lot of people consider him as like one of like the worst quarterbacks like on maybe the Jets have had, even though he wasn't. And I'm sure this hurt his chances once he left New York.
Oh yeah. If you had one sentence that came to mind when this happened, what is it, Eric?
I just think it was almost fake. Like this was almost like a fake play. Like
it was rigged.
I think it was just fake.
Rigged.
Like yeah, it was just almost like, how do the Patriots just get away with this? Like just killing their division. But I guess disgusting would be my word. Just disgusting. What about you?
I'm just saying.
I'll let it play.
We got a T-shirt.
I looked up the guy that got this touchdown too. He actually, I've never heard of him, but he actually did play for a while. Steve Gregory is this guy.
Gregory.
Just a gift. This is his only touchdown. He never had an interception. He got like one other fumble recovery. I think it was special teams mostly, but
he probably got some crazy paycheck off that too little. Here you go.
Just the butt fumble stuff.
You
look at the OP. Shout out. Did you ever watch that?
No.
Okay. Hey, they hate dogs. Right. What kind of podcast channel hates dogs? It's not cool. Notorious dog haters.
They probably secretly love it.
No, they hate animals. That's where they stand. I'm telling you. But all right, Pat, do you have anything to add for Mr. Sanchez? Notorious butt fumble.
I'm glad I'm not a Jets fan. And if I was a Jets fan at that point, I'd seriously put my name on a fan free agent list. He cost himself a lot of bread with that. Just imagine going to negotiations. Like, hey man, I did this last year, Mark.
Oh yeah, you're definitely gonna get criticized just because of that. If you add him to your team.
Yeah, we're the
totally right.
Fumbling team. It's tough, man. It had to be you, bud. Glad it wasn't me. But let's go. Let's go to the next thing, Eric.
Okay, get this out of here. Disgusting.
Get that disgust.
Okay.
This one's a lot better. This is like why you watch sports. Things like this, I remember, talking this guy up. I watched him at LSU, and I was like, bro, he's going to be a star. And then he didn't play for the first month, I believe it was. He ran himself out of his hamstrings or something like that. And then, I'm sitting there, me and my friend Michael Pettit. Remember, we were sitting here watching this, and
first and last.
Man, I was like, wow. I was excited. Not only are you on my fantasy team, but even if you didn't like football, if you don't like football, how could you not like this and respect this? Go ahead, run the clip.
Oh, I want to say this is exactly 2 years after the Butt Fumble, November 23rd, 2014. This is Pat. Pat probably watches this at least a couple times a year ever since then, minimum.
Who should I draft?
Yeah. Comes up in his recommended videos. Here we go, Pat. Okay, so right there. Okay, so Eli Manning pretty much did nothing right there, right?
No. Eli's done it
what do you
before,
think he added? What do you think he added on that? I mean, if you know how catches are judged, right? It's like, what did the quarterback do? What did the receiver do? I think it's like 80-20. I think it's like 80-20 Odell, 20
You give that
Eli.
much? I don't know if I give that much, only because
what do you say?
He threw it in a good spot. He gave his receiver a chance. He let him. He didn't throw it where he could get crushed by Larry Church, whatever the 42's name is.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't
pretty good player right there too.
Yeah. He gave him a chance and threw it into a place that only Odell, this guy can make it. And this guy right here, he's thinking, I have a family. Please don't do this. And Odell's like, But right now I'm like, dang, get off me. I'm probably saying this, why has he found him like that? Come on, man. You got to think. This is when Odell had just hit the scene, and the man put up, 1,400 yards in the first season?
Yes. Yep. In 12 games, right? Or was it 14
games? 12 games.
Yeah, 12 games.
12 games.
Yeah.
That's crazy, bro. He was and right from week one, he was on the scene and did not look back. You got to think everybody in the world is watching Odell. Just imagine how many people he brought back to football. Even though some people with the criticism with the head injuries, all these fancy helmets, football is really causing harm to people. He brought a lot of people back to the game. The man went nuts.
Let's roll the video. Quit getting so excited.
I'm sorry.
I could talk. I could do a lecture on this. I could do a course on this. All right, here we go. So then, like you were saying right there, he's grabbing the hell out of him. Look at Brandon Carr is falling out of bounds. Church probably thinks if anything, he actually slows down right here. You see this?
Oh yeah, he does.
I never noticed that.
He pulls him down. And look at this.
No, I'm talking about the safety doesn't come into it.
Oh yeah, because he's thinking it's no play. He's thinking it's dead. They give you that.
Watching it fast, it didn't even make sense for a second.
Oh my goodness!
And look, everybody's like, he's out. No, sir.
That foot that was closest, the back of his leg, I thought the back leg was out of bounds when I saw it.
Every time Kyle, thank you.
This is sick. Put this to music.
He almost had a swim move.
I don't think he stepped out either. That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen.
That is nuts, bro. They're getting me chills. Look at that.
You have to be kidding me.
His hands to catch the ball like that. That ball just got thrown 47 yards, 50 yards, and to snag it like that.
greatest catch
it's just
I've
like
ever seen
the
in my
thumb
life.
and like your pointer finger just got to be so strong right there.
After being fouled. I mean, he was clearly
He's
fouled on the play. And that's clean.
Clearly
That's
fouled.
not. Oh, that's ridiculous.
I mean, he does it basically with his thumb.
What do you think he's thinking right there? Like, I just made the greatest catch ever.
I just think like when he kind of had to swim move, I don't know. Like if that would have been, he could have got slowed down a little bit, and I think he catches it still, obviously, like pretty easily. But like the way he had to swim move him, I think he just probably just like, I'm catching this, and I'm just gonna try to dunk on this guy. Like I don't know. Like I think the only reason his hand was, like he had to power through the car and like kind of go over him like that, and then like I feel like that kind of like built up his senses to be like, I'm snagging this thing. Like if it would have been like smooth, if it was smooth, maybe he wouldn't have had to do the one hand. But I think it's the contact, like it helped him catch that. I think like
I don't think he stepped out either. That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen.
That don't make sense, bro.
Barry Church avoided that. What's his name, Barry? He avoided that poster. Yeah, he avoided that poster just barely.
Tell him, buddy, like, hey, bro, he just. Hey, we a division rival, but we got to see him again and again. Oh my God, you might put your house on the market because that right there, he just ended you.
Yeah. So Pat, do you think that is your? He just ended you. Do you think that is your favorite catch? Is that what you said? You think that's the number one catch of all time? Would you say so? Is it your favorite or is it the top catch of all time? What do you think?
See, I don't like to judge that like that because to me, this is gonna be my favorite catch of all time, and the reason why is because I lived this. Like I literally remember watching this compared to not watching on YouTube like we're doing now. I watched this live.
Yeah, me too, for sure.
It's like people, because I think this was a Thursday night game, if I'm not, or a Sunday night game, one or two. It was prime time.
It was Sunday night. If it was NBC, it must be Sunday night.
Yep, it was a prime time. I remember that. But even at that, man, it's like, people talk about MJ. You can't. Even though I watched MJ for a glimpse, but I didn't get to see real MJ. I can watch the documentary and all that kind of stuff, but it sucks, man. Honestly.
Okay,
it really
so it
sucks
is.
that we weren't trying to see it a lot.
So what are you saying?
Yes, to me.
Okay.
Yes, to me. Yes, hands down.
Yeah, because after we're going to talk about this, or I found out we were going to talk about this, I watched a video of like the top 100 catches, and obviously like the Will Clark or whatever. What's this guy's name? The catch or whatever in San Francisco. Everybody says that's the best catch, but it's like they didn't have the right camera angle, and by default it looked cooler than it was.
That's crazy.
Like there was the catch like by even like Kyle Rudolph had like a one-hand snag against like Dallas. I don't know if that was maybe it was early this year, and that I think that was harder and cooler than almost that catch. So I don't see how people can. Yeah, so
I think the game now compared to them is a lot more technical. Obviously, you got away with a lot of stuff, but he couldn't. Odell can't go out, before doing that. You got to think back then with all the angles and stuff like that. They're on it, but they're not on it now. You got 12 different angles at this catch, and each one of them is like, how, why, where, who is that?
Right. Yeah, and a lot of people didn't really know about him at that point either. So it was sick, but yeah. Know. I would say, I think if I were to say what was the most impressive catch, this would be up there. I think this would be 2 or 3. I think actually Nick Chubb had a really he mossed the one guy, and it didn't look pretty because Nick Chubb's swole and just 240 pounds of just him, but that was cool. But actually, I think number one would be Julian Edelman in the Super Bowl in 2017. They were still down. Dude, they were still down 7 points in that game. It was, I think I can probably flash it up on the screen, but they're down 7, 2 minutes and 22 seconds left. He in the fourth quarter, he tipped it. It went forward. 3 people dived towards it. If anybody besides him catches that ball, the game's over. Falcons win it. And he snagged it off. I'll play the video, but he snagged it off somebody else's hand. Yeah, and it was like all fingertips. It was like I think that's clutch as hell. You know, if you were to say hard catch, clutch catch, nobody's probably said that before. So you probably have a knee jerk reaction like that's not the best catch ever. But I think that like at the time that was wild. But and then like the Antonio Freeman one against the Vikings was the most heartbreaking thing I've ever seen as a little kid. I think I cried. It was in 2000. I remember I was supposed to be asleep. It was in overtime, I think. Or it was either overtime or right in the end of the very last play of the game. Supposed to be asleep. I'm watching from the stairs, just trying to like watch because there was, you know, this is 2000, so you know everybody didn't have a TV in every room or whatever. Watching it, I'm just like fuck, and I just yell. I'm just crying. And I was like, man, because the Vikings, I think that killed their season at that point. But I think that was like the most heartbreaking one to me, and it was, you know, wild. If you're a Packers fan, it's probably your favorite catch. But anything else, Pat, on that? I'm just mad thinking about it.
Odell really, like, you know, that's why I love fantasy football. Really, you know, you don't have to be a pure team fan, I'm going to say. Just because players like that, man, like exciting plays and stuff like that. Like, come on, how can you not like that? Like, you don't be a hater all your life. It's not healthy. You know, I've had Odell probably, I think last year was on. I did get him though. You gave him to me, yeah. I think I've had him every year since I played. But since he came in the league, I've had Odell on my team.
Yeah, here you go.
He could be the guy.
Here's his stats, especially the first 3 years. If you would have had him, you're in really good shape. And then
he was dropping 40. Like you averaged like 32 points a game, minimal. And everybody knew who he was. Like him, guard him. Stop it.
What did that look like? I mean, I remember back then it was like we were talking about him maybe being the best receiver of all time at that run, and even in fantasy, I mean, he got hurt right away in 17, but even in 18, he actually in 12 games 1,000 yards right before they shipped him out of New York. That's you can get away with that in fantasy football because I mean you don't have to worry about him. He's out. You can just replace him. Obviously, he probably set you up really nice to start that season. But yeah, that's obviously your favorite guy. We couldn't do this video recap without talking about that catch, right?
Never. And if you got some negative to say, you a hater. It's cool. But
we're going to keep going through these types of videos. Let us know if you have any historic events you want us to recap in fantasy history, NFL history. I know I talked about Eric Decker making my fantasy history list. Maybe a little controversial, but please subscribe, like the video. We're going to be doing some new draft content soon. And yeah, just let us know what you want to see in the comment section. I appreciate you watching. Thanks, Pat. We'll see you soon.
Peace.